and I have to leave for Texas on the 4th to go help my mother-in-law move. So
Where's she going?
she's moving up here.
Oh, really? From Texas?
Yeah.
By choice?
No, my father-in-law passed away.
Oh,
And
sorry.
so
Yeah.
she's down there. They've got a place down there. They've got a place in Wisconsin. And so she's selling the house.
Let's start. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Nordby,
Here.
Councilmember Woods,
Here.
Councilmember McKenzie,
Here.
Councilmember Schweer. Here. Mayor Monge.
Here. Thank you very much. A motion to adopt the agenda, please.
So moved.
So moved. Councilmember Schweer.
Second.
Second, Councilmember Woods. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Come on, we got a roll here.
Chop, chop. All right, so our agenda for the evening, we have one topic, which was the History Cruisers car show discussion. Unfortunately, I did receive a phone call that they were not going to be able to make it this evening. So, but we wanted to continue with the conversation, and this is for the public's review. I kind of want to start off with, there were some alarming things, in my opinion, that were being put on their website. And I went to their car show meeting last week and just asked them what the issues were, how can we work through this? What are the issues? The two items that were brought up to me were just not true. We talked about it. So one item, he had said that he had reached out to me a dozen times, and I had not gotten back to him once through email. So I went down, and I have every communication on my computer, and looked there. He contacted me once in 2025, and it was about Veterans Park, not the car show. Though we did have conversation on the telephone, and we did have a conversation a couple times at the front desk when he was coming in. But so pointing the finger at that just wasn't appropriate, and told him I didn't appreciate it. The other item was they had expressed that we had made them change their insurance, which is not the case. That was a decision that they made due to an issue that happened and came up every year that they came in at the beginning of the year to pull their special event permit, but their insurance only brought them up to May, and by the time their first event happened, which was in June, their insurance was expired. So they just had to call down to their insurance agent and send us over a form that just says that that will happen at that point, and it wouldn't have been an issue. But every year it seemed to be an issue, and he did change it, but he was claiming that we said that he had to do that, and that is not the case. He was not told that by anybody at the city that they had to do that. He didn't have any other issues at the time, but I think we kind of settled that. I mean, we had good relations. It was a good talk. Bob was there, and moving forward, we just needed to talk about them and them making their change to going every other week on the car show. This has been brought up, a couple times over the years. Issues that they brought up, of course, is they have members that are in their 70s and 80s. It's a little bit harder for them to get around and take care of the things that need to get taken care of for the show. They also seem to have issues with people being decent down at the car show, which is unfortunate. They have the rules that they have set aside. They're the ones that pulled the permit for the road closure and have their car show, and they try to put those rules in place, and unfortunately, it's usually met with obscenities, and why don't you make me do that? So there were issues that they were looking at potentially, wanting more security down there or more officers, but it also come down to trying to pay for that. None of that stuff is inexpensive. So we did talk through all those issues. Their final decision was made that it will be every other Friday. There wasn't any talking to them about it. They just wanted to go that route. So at this point, we are looking at what other options might be available for us. Nothing set in stone yet, but we were making headway, talking to other places that may be able to pick up the other Fridays, see what we can do anyway. But more information to come on that. We just wanted to have that discussion. I know that we met with them in the bars, and I mean, the city backs the car show strongly. It brings in a lot of business. It brings in people to our town. It's a nice family event. So it's really unfortunate that it's come down to this. I mean, and even their member said, Bob said that, this won't go on forever. People are getting older and they just can't handle the, it's just become harder and harder to stay on top of things. That was kind of the gist of it. They also said that they'll kind of see how this year goes and whether or not they want to maybe, would they pick it up, go back to doing every week, or is it going to be a year that just becomes with more struggles and they just want to end it? So that's coming from the car show. We were hoping to have that feedback from them, but unfortunately, it just didn't work out to come in this evening. And that was kind of the communications that we had. But I'm going to turn it over to council and any input that you want to have and your feelings on the car show and where we can, things that we can do, what your thoughts are.
My impression is just that, like you said, the group, the History Cruisers core group, is getting older, and I get it. They're getting to the point where they don't want to continue, may not want to continue to run this show and run into all the hassles that they're getting. And this is a way, they had already made the decision to pare it back to every other weekend. It wasn't we want to pare it back to every other weekend unless, you guys have feedback or anything. There was no opportunity for discussion. They had already made that decision. So to me, it seems like it's, their just way of kind of phasing it out on their terms, so.
I agree. We, I was there, and so was Troy, Councilmember Woods. He was on the Arts and Culture, which is a great fit for what we do on Friday nights. So he was with us as well, just to kind of understand where things were. Thanked him for the years of the car show. I mean, it was something where it was a good meeting. The bars were there. Of course, they're business owners. There's a situation. It's like, okay, well, we're not going to change their mind. What do we do? So they're open to ideas. They were open to, talk about different things we can do. So that was good that, there's an issue. Let's try to figure this out. So I was very happy that everybody was willing to do that. Secession is what I was kind of hoping, but it sounds like they're not going to pass it down to anything else. So it sounds like Councilmember Wood said, they're probably over the years just going to be fading it out. But so it was a good conversation with the different things, maybe another different style car show with maybe some newer cars, some different things we were talking about. Maybe we can do markets or things like that too. So it was good going back and forth, and it was a situation that we all kind of got thrown at here when we read the email at the end of the year. But people are having ideas to try to see, do we want to continue Friday nights with family? And the bar stressed that the most out of all of it. We want to have a good family-friendly environment, music, and doing things that we've been doing. How can we do that? So, and that's where some ideas are being looked at, and people are looking into it, so.
Okay, I guess then what I would maybe say is, with them guys going to every other week, how can our council help them address some of the issues that they have once the street is closed or at 5 o'clock when the cars are supposed to show up, to eliminate the issues of cars parking at 1 o'clock in the afternoon and either leaving them there with a dummy car or with their classic car, whether it's faced in or backed in, because they really would prefer to have these guys all face them in as the way the traffic flows. That's one of their issues that they're having. And that is probably one of the toughest parts of trying to get these enthusiasts that come in early to understand that they have rules and regulations, but they tell the car show folks, what are you gonna do about it?
Right. I would
And
say
that's
that-
the worst thing.
Sorry, I didn't mean to.
That's right.
I would say that, downtown area for North St. Paul it's a downtown. There's businesses there. We
Right.
can't close it off at noon.
Oh, no.
To prevent cars from coming in. So in terms of preventing the cars coming in and parking at 1 o'clock, I would say, not that there's nothing we can do, but there's not much we can do. I mean, it's if they're coming in to do business, if they're happen to be there all day, there's nothing, we want there to come in and do business.
But there's a 2-hour parking limit.
And, we put a lot on our police department already.
Oh, I know,
So
yeah.
I know Chief Rosales was already there, was at the meeting the other night as well, and he presented a few options in terms of the scenario that they presented at the meeting was not so much that, but more so when they have the barricades up, people bypassing the barricades, yelling at the volunteers, coming
right.
by and going down the street anyway because they want to get to whatever business. And Chief Rosales came up with a couple of options to prevent that. We looked at, camera options. I know the History Cruisers talked about buying some, or I think they've already purchased them, a couple of webcams that they're planning to put up to capture information like plate numbers and things like that. So I think there's plans to put measures in place as much as we can without negatively impacting our residents and the businesses downtown. So, and our police force as well. There's, again, stretched thin, so.
So I have a few things, and I've taken some notes. Question regarding Bob, because we've worked with Bob and Bruce quite a bit. In Bob's eyes, does he think it's easy to work with the city?
He didn't have an issue with the city. I talked with him a couple times over the weekend even, so, yeah.
Okay, because his Facebook post, or was it Bruce's Facebook post, indicated that he had, and the car show had issues working with the city. So I just wanted clarification in regards to that. And I know that I've discussed with a couple business owners downtown that some of them are aware of the car show going every other Friday. Have we talked and reached out to any of the business association members to see what we can do or how they can assist us with filling in those additional Fridays?
We've taken steps to reach out to some places. That is going to be one of them. At this point, we'll just be contacting maybe board members as opposed to being at the meeting. But yeah, there's intention to do that.
Okay,
Both the bars and the city talked about the business association.
Yep.
both the bars and the city.
During the meeting, talked about
Okay.
reaching out to the business association as far as having them be able to help.
Okay. And then regarding the other entities, are we working with other car show groups? And who are we reaching out to?
Well, I don't know that they're willing to put that out there yet, but there are several groups. We have at least 4 different ones that we're looking at right now.
Okay.
And some have shown interest.
Okay. Have we explored, it's known, we've had this for how long? Have we explored as a city to find volunteers to possibly fill in those Saturdays as some of us would be working at? I do know that there have been regulars that have offered to volunteer with the History Cruisers, and they have never received feedback back saying that from Bob or I think Bob and Bruce, that they haven't heard back from those individuals, have not heard back from them about volunteering. So I'm just throwing it out there as an option. Have we just thought about maybe taking some of those Fridays? Because these people are going to show up at their cars. They already do. Have we considered, or do we want to consider what that may look like?
I talked to Bob at their meeting about that, because they said, it sounds like since you've put this information out, that you've had many people that have actually stepped up to say, if you need help with the volunteering, that'd be great. Bob's response to me was, they think they have the volunteering covered with what they need. That's not as big of an issue as finding the right people and the people that can do the job, but he said that their needs right now are being covered. And that's the way he left it, that he wasn't actually looking for others at this point. trying to find the right people.
And that's kind of the impression that we got when we met with the bar owners as well. We talked about the volunteerism and the opportunity for people to step up and volunteer, and they kind of downplayed the volunteer issue at that meeting as well. So, yeah, that was the main gist of their Facebook post was
Right.
volunteers getting, and we don't have volunteers, now all our volunteers are older and things like that. They don't have any, we talked about, do they have younger members that they could, bring up and have, either take it over or step up and volunteer more or things like that. And like city manager Frandl said, they kind of downplayed the volunteer issue altogether and focused more on the security issue.
I mean, I get the security issue, but obviously we weren't fully staffed last year to have any presence. We needed police out on, chief knows that. I mean, even the fire department couldn't be out there that much. So that's their main issue is essentially the security piece.
And they would make comparisons to, once upon a time that, we used to have a lot of reserves here at one time too. But once upon a time too, we'd have one open position, we get over 100 applicants for an officer. Those days are long gone. We just don't have, it's not the way it used to be.
And
So it's a lot harder.
part of it too is they said if the person doesn't have a badge, nobody pays attention. So no matter how many yellow shirts you got out there,
Right.
they're still like, screw you. We're not going to do what you say.
Yeah, I guess, in a nutshell, the fact that they're wavering so much on what they put out there publicly and in
Yeah.
what they're saying kind of in not private meetings, but in, smaller meetings is so vastly different. That's kind of what leads me to believe that this is their way of kind of stepping out of the picture, kind of stepping aside and, phasing out the car show from their perspective, so.
So I guess on that end, how do we as a city work to keep the car show? I mean, I think we should start exercising options and ideas
Oh, yeah.
with that. I mean,
And that's where there's a few that have
And that's, to piggyback on that, that's kind of what I would like to do today. My goal, and it's just a personal goal, I'm one of 5, was to direct the city manager, Frandl, to reach out to the local charities and actively pursue and talk with them to see if someone has interest in taking over the other Fridays. Last year, they stood before us and claimed that they were able to donate $15,000 in charity from last year. If you cut that in half, I truly believe there's some charities and local charities that would have interest in making that $7,500 for their charities. So I'm hoping that's one of the big things that's come from today is that we give Brian the direction and authority to actively reach out and start talking to some of these local charities, especially local charities that have car clubs, to see if they'd be interested in the every other Friday. I don't want to lose a car show. I think it's part of the culture of North St. Paul, and
Right.
we should do everything we possibly do. So that's my goal, is to grant him the direction and authority to start having meaningful conversations with some of these people.
so minus the business association steps and reaching out to them, what other steps, Brian? You said you've taken some steps. What other steps have you taken?
Well, there's a good 3 different car show groups. Actually, one of them was given to me by Bob when I started talking to him about it. The Plymouth car show, there's the Hot Rod group, there's a couple other to look at. So, yeah, I think there's avenues to look at. But I mean, even before that happened, the idea was, and actually I talked with our city attorney too, what are some things that we can do? And oddly enough, state statute only points out one thing that cities can do, if it's not like park related, so if you have a park event where then your park commission can put that on and pay for that kind of event. But for a city, like just closing a downtown, they can offer free music. So, my mind started going, well, then we can offer free music, and then we start reaching out to the business association. They can talk to the businesses downtown. They can bring their wares to the street. We can have crafts. We can have vendors. We can have face painting.
Farmers market.
Farmers market, yeah. So there were plenty of options even before we got to doing.
Yeah, I like that
My
idea.
wife always complains that farmers markets are during the day and she can never get to them.
And then will we just have those people free, complimentary? Like, what would that?
No.
I mean-
The intent is to handle it just the way we're handling it now with the car show. They would have a special event permit, and they would handle the situation. And, they would have the insurance. They would deal with the vendors, and that would be on them.
Because right now, the car show for closing the streets with Ron's group and putting the stuff out and the biffies and all that stuff, the car show pays the city back for that.
That's correct.
So the city's not doing anything as far as for this event. The nonprofit, which is the History Cruiser, they pay for everything. So the city's not sponsoring it. It's their show. They just pay us to do the work for them.
What does it cost to put the car show on for the season?
For what city costs that we charge them,
I'd be curious to know the whole cost. Do we know from Bob?
their part is independent of us. So what their books look like. As far as, well, we do things for them that help with the costs. So the city pays for the bivvies downtown, and they do that because we can get it at half price. It would cost them full price. So
Sure.
there's different things that we do. We have employees come in, we do cleanup the next day, get the trash, and, those type of things. But, so our bill to them by the end of the year is probably 13, somewhere around there, 13,000.
Okay.
Police plus public works, or just
That's everything.
everything? Okay.
Yep.
And we store their things down there for them at.
They have their
Public Works, so
trailer, yep, for the barricades, and that's stored
We help
inside.
them out
all
with
year.
that. We put their storage and we put inside the building for their storage.
That's right.
So are there other venues we could schedule out certain weeks where the city could come up with a venue to specialize for a weekend? Such as what I was thinking is the last weekend of the show where the car show is. They have the parades on Thursday. They have the car show Friday. Could we move the arts and culture group to downtown on one end on Saturday to make it a full weekend? As long as you have all the biffs there already. And then they'd be better parking instead of parking all over 17th, Mohawk and all that.
And that is actually the intent for this year that we are looking for.
Moving it downtown.
Yep, yep. Then at that point, we could potentially be expanded. We're not
Right.
condensed to those.
You got both parking both sides. Yeah.
Yep.
There's one other thing I'd like to clear up too that we haven't discussed yet, is they talked about, they had 3 rainouts last season. So, and so every other week, if there's a rain out during that time, they were talking about maybe we can schedule it for the following. But with the cities, with the schedules, the workers and everybody else, that just doesn't work for the city because that's too fast for trying to get everybody. Right now, we have the people that are set for schedules. So that really wouldn't work out for the city trying to get everything together and do a turnaround because it rained on Friday to do the following Friday. So they're gonna have to stick with their every other week. And if there's a chance sometimes if it rains on one, it could be 3 weeks in between shows.
And even for the businesses, they staff,
Yeah.
accordingly.
Accordingly.
So it may be too much of a scramble for some of the businesses. Some of them said, oh, well, their employees will plan on showing up anyway, just in case. But that being said, there's also a feeling that even though the car show is only happening every other weekend or every other Friday, the cars will still show up on the
Right.
other weekends. And so I guess the question is, how do we handle that. You know, it's not an official car show, but we'll still accommodate them, we'll still welcome them and everything, but there's probably not gonna be any food vendors or anything like that. The bars will still, the bars and businesses downtown, restaurants and things like that will benefit, hopefully. And maybe people will still come and visit come see the cars and visit the businesses, but,
Well, even during
we
COVID, when we weren't even allowed to be anywhere near it, there was guys parked out there in their little pockets, so they're gonna show up.
yeah. So how can we build something around that, I guess? Yeah. To be
And-
inclusive of it, too.
And to keep it in habit of every Friday and get different things, Chris and I used to be a big moviegoers before COVID. Well, then all the time of not being able to do it, you get out of the habit, and then you don't go anymore. Same thing here, so, we want to try to keep the momentum going that, it's been a Friday night staple. What else can we bring? There was some excitement too for the bar owners, some different things too. So when we were discussing, it was like, well, let's think outside the box. What else can we do? So.
In order to give Brian clear direction, do we want him to prioritize something? Would a car show every other weekend be the priority, or would something else be the priority?
I think the only big, in talking to the businesses the bars that were there, the only big ask was that it be family friendly. So it doesn't necessarily, so they said no death metal concerts or anything like that, which I'm upset about, but, I'll get over that. But, have, something that's family friendly, whether it be a car show, whether it be a farmer's market, or whether it be an arts and crafts festival, something like that. So I think that's the biggest requirement, is that it's something that appeals to children of all ages, so to speak. So,
I don't think I've been, but I've never been to the one for White Bear. What's that, Market Fest it's called?
Yeah, Market
Now,
Fest.
what groups are involved in that? Is it crafts? Is it,
Yeah.
what is it? More or less?
mostly crafts, businesses, restaurants.
Food
There are
vendors.
There are stages where they have performances. There is a little bit of a car show off to the side, but definitely not as big as, North St. Paul's. But yeah, and that goes on every Thursday during the summer.
And we're the next day, so there's that
Yeah.
momentum of, hey, we're in
Yeah.
maybe more White Bear, North St. Paul area.
And that was one of the things that we reached out, we mentioned was there's, Market Fest, there's festivals, similar types of things going on in communities surrounding us. Could we reach out to them and say, how do you do this? Who organizes this? And what is your, so that, because we've got the downtown for it. Absolutely, perfect place for something like this. How do we utilize it to the best extent of, our city? So.
What does it look like to bring back Crazy Days?
Well,
I mean, I didn't live here when it happened, but I've heard lots about it, and I've heard lots about it from the community members, and we got rid of it. And what does it look like to bring that back?
the council member was here for quite a while that kind of headed that up. I know it started getting tougher for her to at least to book some of those things. I know that they brought in a carnival at one point, which ended up not being great. At least that one wasn't. And it kind of just went downhill, and nobody else wanted to pick it up, the event. It's not to say that they couldn't. I mean, I mean, you could call it whatever you want. I mean, as far as the
Right.
event goes, and if you're going to have all those vendors downtown, I mean, still just family-friendly events. And depending on what you want with Crazy Days, I mean, it could be all of the above. But that's the reason that went away. At that time, it was put on a council member, and that council member didn't want to do it anymore, and nobody else wanted to pick it up.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, we have a designated community events coordinator and working with business association. I mean, maybe they can partner. I don't know. I'm brainstorming out loud, but it doesn't need to fall all on Ava, but she could head it up.
Yeah, I mean, I guess ultimately, I think for the easiest for everyone, I would like to see it, unless I'm instructed differently, is to handle it kind of the way it is now, that an event coordinator of sorts outside of the city takes care of that, because we can only put on, according to our attorney, a free music festival. When it comes to vendors and all those other things, we are not supposed to be spending tax dollar funds on that.
Right.
But yeah, at least we have a backup for something, but I think business association was clearly would be the next step to talk about as well. But I mean, it was a productive conversation. It was good to have the talk and talk with them, and
I was very impressed with the way they handled it, because, I mean, this is a big, cutting it in half for what they're doing. And everybody, you can tell they're entrepreneurs. It's like, okay, well, this is where it is. Let's figure out how to fix it. So I was very happy and impressed with the businesses, because they all just dug in and said, let's try to figure something out here.
yeah, so clear direction from you guys would be great, because we want to move as fast as we can on this when it comes to trying to plan and vendors and all that good stuff as well.
So I guess to get back to your question that we've kind of all danced around, I think if we could reach out, car shows make sense. That's what people are accustomed to in North St. Paul. If we could do car shows, that'd be great. I think we do want to leave, it sounds like there's a desire to move the Autumn Arts Festival, but that's a Saturday though too, so. So a car show, I think would be first and foremost. So priority wise, if we can reach out to car clubs and start there. Reaching out to those charities or charitable organizations around here, I think would be a good next step. If they have a car show associated or a car club associated with them, would be ideal. If they don't, what is their experience? We're looking for somebody that has experience that can run this, because we don't want it. I think if it goes poorly, it's going to reflect poorly on the city as well. So we want to make sure that it's a success, and we will do our part as a city council. And I guess I'm speaking for all of us, but I feel like I can in this case, that we'll do everything we can in our power to make this a success for the city and for the businesses and for our residents, so.
Is that something where the city can reach out to these different things? Because I know there's the limit of what you can do, so you have to tell, I know you want to know what, what we want, but we got to know what we can do. That's still underneath what you can do.
There's nothing wrong with us reaching out to these 501s and seeing where they're at, what they can do, what
Good.
they can offer.
All right, then we start with that. I would like to try to get even something a little bit different in there too, like a farmer, but I don't know if there's enough room even for it because we pretty much packed that whole entire street now, so.
Yeah.
But there's a little variety, but yeah, we have a lot of different trucks on that. We mentioned something about the bands, so would that be like a one band that the city would, or music that we can do? Is that what you're thinking when you
If it
said
came
that?
back to us, we could go that route, to at least where we could put a step forward to have some kind of activity, family event down there. But then, even on top of that, you'd still want a,
Somebody take care of it, yeah, you're just not
Yes,
gonna have a
indeed.
band sitting out in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
Okay,
Because
Yep.
if there's a band, people are going to want food.
Yep.
I mean,
yep.
so.
So
Not that
it's-
we want to take away from the businesses downtown, but,
Yeah.
if they could have a booth out front or whatever.
I know right now in the car show days, a lot of them already do their bands, so. And we're not paying for those, so I don't want to get into us paying for something and then they have to pay first, I'm just trying to make sure we keep it fair.
and that was kind of just a backup plan. Hopefully, it would fall on the entity to take care of all of that.
Okay. All right,
Great.
anything else, anybody?
No, I guess direction is to find and start researching some other car clubs. I can't recall if does Hastings still do their car show?
Yeah, but they scaled it way back.
They did, okay.
Once a month on a Sunday morning for 2 hours, so I mean, they just
They
really,
really scaled it
When they
back, okay.
redid the bridge,
Yeah,
that really signaled the end of it.
yeah.
okay. I mean, that's another group to look at.
Absolutely.
So, on my end, I would recommend reaching out to other car clubs, to see if they can get filled in.
Perfect.
And just ideas too of other things, where she's, like what Market Fest, if you can get a hold of maybe somebody in White Bear, just ask them, hey, was there good to discuss that? Because I know Ava's just amazing what she can figure out and do as far as that. She definitely has a talent when it comes to sniffing stuff like that out.
She's good. Yep.
Anything else? Would you like to add anything, Ron? Because I got to pick on you at least once. All right. Chief, anything from you, sir? I'm good. All right.
Dan, Randy, Ken,
Don't forget your daughter.
Elliot?
Yeah. Has she got a comment? No.
you have any comments about the car show?
Yep. All right. That's a pony. We'll have pony rides at the car show.
All right, adjournment.
All right.
All right.
Thank you all. We got some time in between here. We're going to start up again at 6:30 with the council meeting. I have a call for adjournment, please.
So moved.
So move, Councilmember Schweer.
Second.
Second, Councilmember McKenzie. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. See you at 6:30.